The last time Audi built an RS sedan in this size class, the iPhone didn't exist yet. That was 2006. The RS4 Saloon came, ran for a generation, and disappeared. Every RS in this class since then has been a Sportback or an Avant. Now the sedan is back, and Audi Sport didn't build it as a concession to North American taste. They built it as the sharper-looking argument for the same 630 horsepower, the same 3.6 seconds to 100, the same world-first torque vectoring system. The question isn't whether it has the performance. The question is whether the sedan makes that performance feel different. That answer is more interesting than I expected. The fastback silhouette is the design decision that separates this car from every RS that preceded it in the last 20 years. The shallow rear window doesn't open separately, it's part of the trunk lid. The whole panel lifts as one piece, which sounds like a compromise until you realize it gave the designers the low roofline they actually wanted. The coupe, like cabin section, flows into the tail in a way the old Sportback never quite managed, because the old Sportback was always negotiating between practicality and proportion. This car isn't negotiating. It made a decision it wants to be the one you look back at when you walk away from it. With the 9 cm wider body sitting over 21-inch forged wheels, that ambition reads clearly. I'll say this about the front end. The expanded single-frame grille does its cooling job, the air curtains do their aerodynamic job, and the checkered flag daytime running light signature does its distinguishing job. All of it is functional justification for a front fascia that has to carry significant visual mass. The centrally positioned oval tailpipes at the rear are where I'll park a mild objection. The diffuser proportion underneath them is correct. The placement of the pipes slightly pinches the visual width of the rear bumper. An aftermarket solution will exist within months. The powertrain story is what justifies the entire exterior exercise, and it starts with a number that Audi Sport's managing director said out loud at this launch in a way that surprised me. The RS4 across every generation, across every version had understeer. Engineers managed it. Press cars were tuned to minimize it, but it was structural. You felt it at the limit and you knew what it was. Audi Sport's managing director stood in front of journalists at this reveal and said, of the new dynamic torque control system in the rear transaxle, basically, there is no understeer. That is either the most confident technical claim I've heard from this brand in years, or it's a promise that road tests will examine very closely over the next 6 months. The hardware is real. An 8-kilowatt electric motor in the rear differential distributes torque between the rear wheels in 15 milliseconds, 2,000 newton-meters of differential, bidirectional, active under braking, as well as acceleration. Combined with a new preloaded center differential that keeps the axles coupled off-throttle through corners, this is a fundamentally new rear axle behavior for a production RS. The combined 510 horsepower V6 and 130 horsepower electric motor produce 630 total with boost mode available on a steering wheel button, unlocking everything for 10 seconds at a time. The RS Torque Rear Drive mode exists for closed-course use. I find the existence of a drift mode in a family-adjacent performance sedan mildly extraordinary. I find it more extraordinary that the analytics system records your drift angle and lets you review it afterward. That level of mechanical commitment to the driving experience is the thing the interior then has to match. The cockpit is a driver-facing argument. The flat-bottom Nappa leather wheel carries physical RS buttons mode selection, boost activation position where your thumbs sit naturally, not buried in a menu, not reached across the touchscreen. Physical controls in a car with this much capability are the correct decision. The 11.9-inch virtual cockpit alongside the 14.5-inch MMI display shows G-forces, tire pressures, tire temperatures, transmission temperature, lap times, sector splits, and RS torque rear drift angle. A dashcam is available optionally in the rear view mirror, recording what the analytics already measure. I went looking for the areas where the base specification runs thin. The leather-free standard interior uses Cascade cloth, a sustainable material, reasonable quality, but a surprising omission at this entry price in this segment. A red or gray leather upgrade solves it. The capacitive touch controls for the secondary functions are slower than physical alternatives in cold weather. That's not unique to this car, it's an industry problem at this price point, but you'll notice it on a January morning. What the sedan's boot situation reveals is genuinely more interesting than I anticipated going in. Because the rear window and the trunk lid are one piece, the loading aperture is unusually wide at the top. The boot itself measures 480 liters more than an Avant with the PHEV battery in place, and shaped differently to the Sportback because the tail's geometry produces a higher floorline at the lip. The no DC charging limitation is identical between the two body styles. 11 kilowatts AC, 2.5 hours for a full charge. 87 kilometers of electricity range from the 25.9 kilowatt-hour battery. If you charge at home, this is a non-issue. If you intended to use public rapid chargers for supplemental range on longer runs, the petrol engine will be carrying that work. At 89,400 pounds, I think Audi should have solved the DC charging question. They chose not to. That is the compromise you are agreeing to. The BMW M3 Competition is the natural alternative. It costs roughly 30,000 pounds less, weighs 500 kilograms less, and delivers the same 0 to 100 time. What the M3 hasn't done is fit an electromechanical torque vectoring differential that constitutes a world first in a production car, or retain a V6 that survived electrification when its Munich rival went 4-cylinder. If dynamic torque control delivers on Audi Sport's specific, public claim about understeer, the RS5 Sedan becomes the most technically sophisticated car in this segment by a clear margin. That is not a claim I make easily after 20 years of RS understeer management. This car is asking you to trust that something fundamental has changed. The summer road test will tell us if it has. Subscribe and you'll see it here when they do. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button and subscribe for more content just like this. Leave a comment below with your thoughts or questions. I read every single one. And don't forget to click the bell icon to get notified about my next upload. See you in the next video.